by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. As we have plenty to talk about here on a Reaction Monday, we're going to react to everything that happened over the sports weekend with Razorback football, basketball, some baseball news. We'll have some best and worst of the weekend presented by our friends at Looper Auction and Realty. Have a vibe check of the chat presented by our friends at Basis Health, your alumni hall question of the day, as well as some fun summer topics presented by our friends from Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas. But fellas, hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. How was the weekend and how we feeling on this Monday?
Feeling good, man. Yeah, it's been a nice weekend. Been in St. Louis hanging out with the parents a little bit, and I think I've officially turned the page into summer mode. You know, it's like I'm looking forward to the show. It's very stress-free. You know, like we're not freaking out about an upcoming game or whatever. I know Andrew might be freaking out a little bit about Dave Van Horn and portal season. I don't know how he feels about that stuff. I know I was during basketball, but chilling, man. It's like anything we talk about, it's pretty stress-free right now. So it's a good vibe to have on a Monday.
Yeah, it was definitely a good weekend. It felt like the first true weekend of the year for us. I mean, really, if you think back to like even fall camp days, even on those Saturdays, you know, we're still kind of working a little bit, doing videos, listening to coaches talk or whatever. Like we go through about 7 straight months of like no weekends at all. And so I made the most of it, enjoyed the weekend as much as I could, and it definitely felt good. The weather's nice. I mean, there's not much to complain about, like you said. And to answer your question, I'm not concerned about Dave Van Horn in the portal, although he is taking a little bit of the Eric Musselman approach of just contacting every single outfielder available. But, you know, I have no doubt they're going to have a good roster. Excited to watch it come together, and excited to watch some of our other Hogs play all over the country because we got pigs hitting baseballs a long way in every corner of the United States.
Yep, and that's what this time of year is all about, is for things like that. And I know we'll have a little bit of a pro hog update too, not only from that, but also from basketball. Some guys getting paid, which is great. Who are former Razorbacks. So we'll discuss that as well as some video game nonsense, which I know I'm a fan of, and we'll have that too. But, you know, the thing is that we, you know, kind of look forward to and changing the tide over to football. And this is the final day of June. Like we're pretty much the midway point of 2025. Exactly. Which is crazy to think about how fast this year has moved. But once you get into July, you got SEC media days, but just a lot of things that kind of slow down a little bit too. But, you know, the thing is with football, we've discussed, you know, what's going on inside the administration. We've discussed what's going on with the additions from the transfer portal and the recruiting side of things and all of that. But, you know, when you think about this upcoming football season, you know, I wanted to kind of break down a little bit with Taylen Green and the quarterbacks in general, because over the weekend, Taylen Green was part of that Manning camp. We'll have a little clip to play from him in an interview that Chris Cordy had with him. But he had that. He had a picture with him and John Gruden. You know, he's a guy that was never wavered. It was almost weird when guys were transferring out, you know, key players. He was the first one to like quote tweet them or repost them on Instagram being like, hey, man, good luck. Kind of like, I mean, okay. I mean, that's cool, man. It seems like he's such a great teammate and a great leader, but it's about what you do on the field and the production. And I remember how we felt about him a year ago going into the upcoming football season. But where it stands right now, guys, just what do you make of Taylen Green? And also the fact that it feels like he's got all the pressure on him because he's the one familiar face that people saw last year at the most important position. Just how do you feel like that goes and how he can handle being and having that much pressure on, hey, you're the one guy we remember from last year, so you got to get better or else this team's not going to be any good.
Yeah, well, I mean, for his sake, I hope that his offensive line is in a better position to help him out, but he's the kind of guy who can overcome things like that. And we saw it all last year where even if he wasn't playing particularly well, and we know he's not the most accurate guy in the world, hopefully that improves, but he is always a threat for that home run, for that big play. And anytime you have that, it always makes you feel like you have a chance. And that's what I think I like so much about Taylen. I'm anxious to see what kind of progress he makes. You know, on one hand, I kind of look at it and I'm like, you know, this could be a really good thing because he's probably really dialed in. I mean, it's the second year in the system, in the offense under Petrino. He should be very comfortable. He should be able to just go out there and play instead of thinking so much about his reads and the playbook and all that. Then on the other hand, you look at it and you go, yeah, but he doesn't have a lot of familiar faces that he's distributing a pill to. So what's that chemistry going to look like? Are those guys better? Does he have more weapons to choose from? Time will tell on that front, but I like him as a leader. He's got a good head on his shoulders, extreme athlete, and we know that he was banged up for a good majority of the back half of last season. When he's healthy, especially that lower half, and is able to utilize those legs, he's trouble for everybody, and it translated to SEC defenses as well.
Yeah, I think having a guy like Taylen Green with his skill set and some of the things that he does well, it gives you a lot of, threat as an offense, and it gives you a pretty high ceiling. I feel like the plays that he's able to make outside of structure, obviously the athleticism, what he's going to do in the run game is going to be huge for Arkansas. Having a guy with his skill sets, like, you can easily let your imagination run wild. We've seen games. I mean, even at Arkansas, he's had moments where it's like, you're like, man, no matter what defense, no matter what you have around him, like, he's going to be able to make stuff like this happen. I don't think now there's only a handful of quarterbacks over the last however many years in college football who do not matter what's around them. Cam Newton comes to mind. Lamar Jackson comes to mind. Johnny Manziel, although he had some pretty good talent around him. Guys that can just basically take a bad team and make them a great team. Taylen is not that guy. And there's not many of those guys. I mean, those guys I just listed are unicorns. But I think what Taylen is, and this is what I really have no doubt about, I think if you gave Taylen a good offensive line and a good wide receiver core and a good, good running game around him, I think Taylen, that offense would have about as high a ceiling as anyone in the country. And sure, you could say that about a lot of quarterbacks. I don't know how I feel about the surrounding pieces. We'll see how good the offensive line is. We'll see how good the receivers are. I'm definitely not sold on the running back room at Arkansas. But I think it's just now a matter of the question that we have to ask ourselves is, okay, how much can Taylen do with the surrounding circumstances? And that's the question. But the question is not about, is Taylen Green capable? Is Taylen Green good? Does he have the right skill sets to succeed at quarterback? Like, I think he kind of checks all those boxes, both from a leadership standpoint and physically. I mean, I know the accuracy is not great, but I understand what Taylen Green is, and I think it's good traits to build your offense around in college football. We've seen a lot of guys that fit this type of mold be very good. And so really, when I think about what Taylen's going to be able to do this fall, it's more about what's around him than it is Taylen himself. And I think ultimately he's going to have to be the one that leads that charge. And so we'll see what position he's able to put Arkansas in. But I think if you surround Taylen with good things, you're going to get good things. We'll just see if Arkansas has done that.
Well, and to add to it, which I think it's 100% correct about what he has around him. Just say, for instance, they were returning Arkansas, that is the entire offense from a year ago, like the same exact offense. So you had Jaquindon Jackson back. You got Luke Haz and all those guys. You got Andrew Armstrong. You got everybody. I think that it would not be just a conversation of, okay, is this offense going to be improved? I think it would be a conversation of, could this offense be one of the best ones in the SEC? Because of the angle of a Petrino deal and knowing the type of weapons that he has around him. And that's what's the unfortunate thing about it, is because I'm not saying people just are hating on Taylen Green, but it's almost like, as the kids say, he's being slept on because everyone's like, well, he's a good quarterback, but he ain't got anybody around him. It's almost like it's not his fault. It's not his doing of why people maybe aren't giving him the respect that he deserves. But, last season going into it, all we knew was about his numbers at Boise State. We're like, okay, yeah, that's great and all. Okay, that's cool. But how good can he be? He doesn't seem like he's accurate or whatever. But if you would have told me, guys, last season going into the year that he was going to throw for 30,154 yards and rush for 602 yards, I'd be like, yeah, that's awesome. Now, he did have 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Got to limit that a little bit. And his accuracy did improve. It's at 60%. But still, point is that he did so much more than I think what was really expected out of him a year ago. It's just, as you guys mentioned also, he is that player that, whether it's fair or not, he's going to have that pressure on him. And if Arkansas is going to win some games, especially some games they're not supposed to win, it's going to be because Taylen Green just has Taylen Green type of games. It's just going to have to come down to that. So I'm excited about him, and I want to play this video, and I haven't watched it, just to be honest. Chris Gordy sat down with an interview with Taylen Green down there at the Manning camp, and he was asked about entering year 2 under Petrino. So let's see what Taylen Green had to say.
Told us how excited you were to get to work with Coach Petrino. Was it everything you were hoping for? And I got to think another year of continuity, you guys can only build from there, right?
Oh, it's more than what I expect. Every single day, we walk in to a meeting room, and it doesn't even feel like I'm in football. I feel like I'm in a classroom. Just learning, just defensive fronts, linebacker alignments, safety rotation, corners, learning why certain plays work for certain coverages, and learning checks, and just the freedom that he has. Like he trusts me with the offense, and that's something I appreciate and don't take for granted. So I'm always got to make sure I'm on my P's and Q's. So.
He's on his P's and Q's. Basically, he's been in the classroom, man, getting in the lab, because that's the thing he's got to work on, apparently.
We know Bobby Petrino is letting the chalk talk. There's no doubt about that. So it's just a question of how good of a student is Taylen Green. And I think that's also some of it. Like the athleticism, the ability is all there. His accuracy in terms of where he places the football, that's not going to change that drastically in year 4 or year 5 or whatever it is of him as a college quarterback. But a lot of it's about comfortability and decision making for me. And so he's saying all those things about his checks and his reads and all that. Well, that's very important. I think that's the big part of the progression that we're looking for Taylen in taking the next step, in this offense. What is he going to be able to get through his progressions? Can he stay patient and step up in the pocket? Does he abandon ship too early, or does he give it time to see things out with his routes? Does he get rid of the ball when he needs to get rid of the ball, or does he try to do the Superman thing and take those terrible, 8-10 yard sacks that was driving a lot of people crazy? You're always going to have some variance like that when you have a guy who's such a wild card home run threat type of improvising player. But I think more so than, has he become a better passer? Is he more accurate? Is he putting it on the numbers? More so than that, I think it's more about his understanding and comfortability within the system, his reads, and that part of the progression and the development in his game that will make a difference for him if he's going to have one.
Yeah, absolutely. And, going back to what John was saying about, like, if you just return to the offense from last year, what would the expectation be? And I would agree that, like, they were like top 25 in yardage last year, obviously not scoring. They had a little bit of between the 20s and then couldn't finish it type of mentality to them. But I think if you were returning a lot of those pieces, it would be a lot easier for me to sell myself on this idea. Now, I do know that Taylen, of course, I buy that 100%, that he has a better understanding. He knows what to do with the football. He kind of understands the game and what SEC defenses are going to do to him. I just hate that he didn't have any of the returning pieces from last year's offense, like any of the ones you would want to kind of build that with, because he's going to have to, as he continues to figure out what SEC defenses are doing, he also has to learn his own receivers, learn his own offensive line, kind of set that tone in the locker room. And I think he's well equipped to do that. I mean, he's an older, mature quarterback who's got a ton of experience. I think by Petrino, we've talked about it 1,000 times, quarterbacks are better in year 2, but most of those quarterbacks that are better in year 2 have returning guys around them that they can kind of all build that together. And so, again, it kind of comes back to my point of, like, I don't doubt that Taylen is going to be equipped to handle a lot of these things. I can get behind he's going to be better. He's going to be more equipped. I just hate that, he's not able to really build that with his teammates, and he's kind of starting from scratch with a less talented offense than he had last year.
Well, and also too, like, just with the situation you walk into, which I'm not saying Taylen Green didn't handle this well, but I would imagine the situation you walked in last year where you had all these wide receivers that were from a previous regime, and you had essentially a few offensive linemen from the previous regime. You had a new running back, pretty much a new running back room overall. And so there was just a lot of trying to figure out, all right, what's my role here? And then the wide receivers these weren't recruited by Bobby Petrino and his staff. These were guys that were really good, but from the different staff for a different type of offense. And so now that it's a year or two, I'm wondering if the talent's not as high as what it was a year ago surrounding him. Is it maybe more comfortable for Taylen where it's like, okay, I'm kind of the veteran here. I'm the experienced guy where I have a bunch of new faces around me and they're looking to me. So I feel a little bit more comfortable where I can handle it and I can do it instead of, this wide receiver may not be on the same page as me, or this, offensive line, it may be built for something else, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Not saying that always happened, but I would just feel as a leader and as a quarterback of an offense, it's got to be a little bit more endearing and giving you confidence when everyone's kind of looking to you instead of, hey, you got to come in here and fit what we got going on.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, man. It's probably a lot easier to, lead by example and bring the new guys along and be an extension of the coaching staff when you know what the heck you're doing out there. And so I agree with that completely, because it was all new for him. He was settling into a new environment and new surroundings and a new way of doing things. And new vocabulary within the system and a new offense. There's a lot going on there. And a lot of times, skill guys, anyone on the offense, when they have a question or they're unsure about something, you might look to the coaching staff, but when you're in the huddle, when you're on the field, you're looking at QB1 going, hey, bro, what's going on here? So now that he knows exactly what's going on, you're right. And maybe that does streamline the process with all these new weapons that he has around him, because he has the ability to control a little bit of how quickly they come along and how quickly they grasp some things.
Yeah, I think conceptually it definitely makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of like what you want. You want your best players to be your best leaders. You kind of want certain guys to step up and fill that void in the locker room. And to Taylen's credit, by the way, this time last year when we were talking about Taylen Green, I think we all had like a little bit of like optimism built in just because of the way that he had handled everything when he got to campus. Because he was doing a lot of those things, like you said, being in the film room, being a leader, and like showing up at pro day, taking his guys out to dinner. Like he was doing all of the like quarterback things that you want your quarterback to do. And it was still year one for him. He was still trying to learn the offense. And so all of that's going to be kind of moved forward a little bit. He's able to not have to kind of prove to everyone, hey, I'm the guy. And that was another thing, is he was also in the spring competing for a job. He doesn't have to do any of that. Now it's just kind of, I'm the guy, get in line. And for teams, like that's kind of how it's supposed to go with your quarterback. And so I think it definitely makes a lot more sense. And I think he and Bobby together, really everything that we think, everything that we talk about with the receivers, the O-line, all that's fine and all that matters. But really it's him and Bobby. They have to be in cahoots. They have to be kind of relaying those same messages. And I think it's starting at the top and trickling down is how it's supposed to go with football teams. Like you want your quarterback to be that guy. And so I think he's definitely, like, from a mental standpoint and just a leadership standpoint, definitely the exact kind of guy you want. And I think he also has the physical tools to make it all work and to make it happen, because it's one thing to know where to go with the football. Can you get it there? And that's certainly going to be a big question about it. But I do love the premise, though, of the Taylen being the leader and kind of having that feel of like, hey, this is our guy. Let's all get in line behind him. It kind of takes some pressure off of those other guys, which should help. And now we'll see if those other guys are going to be good enough to compete in the SEC. They still got to go out there and make it happen, but should definitely kind of relieve some pressure of seeing some of these guys where it's like, oh, hey, we don't really have to set that tone. But now we'll see if Taylen can just get this entire offense in sync.
Well, as part of that, let's go ahead and talk about the Alumni Hall question of the day, because that's the deal with not only Taylen Green, but the quarterbacks in general. And, of course, our friends over at Alumni Hall, the greatest Razorback apparel shop you'll ever see and you'll ever be a part of. Any type of Razorback shirt, polo shirt, jersey, hat, anything, they have it. And if you want something that has Razorback on it and you can't find it at Alumni Hall, it means it doesn't exist, because they truly have everything, including decor for men, women, kids, all of the things that you could possibly want. You can shop them online today at InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall, or you can use that QR code at the top right corner of your screen, or you can check them out in store at 3417 North College Avenue. Use promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. So just looking at the quarterback room in general, guys, because we know Taylen Green and this situation where this year you have KJ Jackson looks to be the backup there, which we know Bobby Petrino and as well as Sam Pittman talked a little bit about, feeling like they were pretty strong about him. You don't have Madden anymore because of that whole fiasco, but you're looking at also Grayson Wilson, the true freshman, and Trevor Jackson, who was the transfer from Florida State that they added once they did lose out on Madden. That's what your quarterback room looks like now, where a year ago it was Taylen Green, Malachi Singleton, KJ Jackson, Blake Boda was also in there too. So overall, hopefully you don't have to get down to the third or fourth string quarterbacks for any reason. But the room in general, do you feel much better about the quarterback room this season than what you did heading into last season?
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Neither one of your sons are going to play. In all seriousness, though, I'm really happy that they're here. I like this. The answer to the question for me is yes. I think it is, because you have multiple quarterbacks now who have been in this particular system for multiple years. Last year, and Malachi Singleton wound up doing a bang-up job when he was in there. But I do remember going into the year and in some of the preseason content that we did being like, well, got a year one guy in Taylen Green, and he seems really talented. He's from Boise. What's this going to look like? He runs a lot. He's going to get hurt. And then they don't have a dude who's taking a snap behind him. And we didn't really know. And Malachi didn't even play that much in his at the end of his high school career because of injury. So I was really worried about the depth at that position going into last season. They wound up making it work okay. But yeah, I feel good about it. I like that they went out and got the kid from Florida State after Madden dipped on him to give him a little bit more depth there, and a guy that's been in a college system before. But really excited about the second year of Taylen Green in this offense. And man, from the day he stepped on the campus, I've just been impressed with KJ Jackson's makeup physically. He's got the size. He looks the part. Big, strong, athletic kid with a big arm. And I wonder what the future holds for him. But yeah, I'm optimistic about it. We need to let the naysayers know that we're having some good, positive football conversation on this program today. I'm getting myself hyped up here.
We are. And listen, as long as we only talk about Taylen Green, I'll continue to say positive things. I'll continue to feel good. But seriously, though, I agree with your sentiment. Like, KJ Jackson's a guy that, going back to when he first got on campus, there's something there. You know, is he going to be a top tier SEC quarterback? Is he going to start at Arkansas? I don't even know, but I do know there's something there. He's talented. I think Bobby likes him. I think there's just, the athleticism. He checks a lot of the boxes you want your young quarterbacks to check. He just doesn't have the experience, which is, all fine. The same could be said about Malachi Singleton this time last year, who checked all the boxes but had not taken an SEC snap, had not played in an SEC game. So I don't think there's a very big difference between Arkansas's backup situation this year and their backup situation last year, because there's really a lot of inexperience behind Taylen Green then. The big difference is I feel better about Taylen Green than I did last year. I think KJ Jackson and Malachi Singleton's pretty much a wash. I know many people in the fan base feel very, very differently, but I think even if you want to say, hey, Singleton's better, Singleton last year is better than Jackson this year, like, all right, fine. I think Taylen makes up for that because Taylen is a better version of himself. He's more comfortable. And so overall, I think Arkansas has definitely got a better overall quarterback room, but mostly that's because I think the guy at the top of the quarterback room is a better, more experienced, hopefully more healthy version of himself. And I like the upside of KJ Jackson. And I think they brought in enough kind of reinforcements around him with the Trevor Jackson kid, and having Blake Boda for year 2 is big.
It's huge.
Well, yeah, I agree, though, as far as feeling better about it for all the reasons you guys listed. But also because I'm, as everyone knows, a huge Bobby Petrino fan. That was one of the things that were maybe underrated that I always loved about Petrino when he was here as the head coach, is his backup quarterbacks, no matter who they were ready. Like, they were ready to step in. We all remember Tyler Wilson coming in after Ryan Mallett, rest in peace, went out with an injury against Auburn in 2010 and what he did. Even times that Brandon Mitchell had to come in, in 2011, which wasn't too often, but they had a certain package ready for him, and he was able to answer the call. Last year, I think Malachi Singleton in that Tennessee game, not to say that, he just went out there for 12 of 13 for 200 yards, but you could tell he was confident out there. He knew what he was supposed to be doing. He knew what the plays were, and he was very poised. And I think that's very important. That's why I feel like no matter who the quarterback is, as long as Petrino feels good about him, they're going to be in a position where obviously there's a reason why one's a guy a starter and one's not. But I'm going to feel confident in whoever they run out there that's going to be fine. It's going to be not going out there and knowing not having any idea what to do. Because I was a big Kendall Briles fan too, but that was to me the biggest issue with him. That dude did not have a backup quarterback ready ever. It just seemed like Malik Hornsby, I think, was a fine athlete, and I'm not hating on a kid, but it just, when he went out there, it looked like, all right, well, don't really know what to do, so just try to do something like that. It was just seemed like they were so unprepared all the time, and that's why I feel so much better about it now. And 74% of you, according to the polls, say yes, you do also feel better about the quarterback.
Where'd all those Singleton guys go? I mean, because wouldn't they all agree that it's a worse quarterback room?
I mean, you would think, but maybe they're just not voting in the polls. Maybe they're asleep or something like that. But
not registered to vote.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Are we going to do this for every position throughout the course of the offseason here? Because quarterback is low on my list of concerns with this football team. Like, we talking about this today has got me feeling pretty good about where we're at here.
See, trust me.
That's funny, Curtis, is like you were talking. You're like, hey, we're having a good football conversation. This is like optimistic, and I'm like, yeah. If we just talk about Taylen Green, I'm going to continue to feel like you'd be like, yeah. I feel good about him. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Tuesday is defensive line day, and
yeah, we're gonna have to balance it out to where it's like we do some negative one, but then we just find some position like the punter. Okay, we're going to talk about the punter today, and positive vibes only. But then we get into another position. It's just the way it is, and it's not like we're the ones that are going against the grain, being like, even though 24/7 Sports or whoever on 3 says that they have one of the best defensive lines in the SEC, we're a little bit suspect of that. We're going to say they're not any good. Like, it's kind of evident, but still, we'll go through other positions too, and who knows? Maybe we'll talk ourselves into an 8-4 season the way it's going right now, but probably not.
Wait till we hear from Deke Adams. When we hear from Deke Adams in the fall, we'll be like, I'm telling you. Ken Talley, watch out.
Yeah. What was it? Somebody in the chat said the other day, there one coach from little video from Travis Williams that'll get everybody hyped. Yeah, pretty much it too. All right, so let's go ahead and keep it moving. We'll get to your chats, folks, and check out the vibe of it. Presented by our friends over at Basis Health, where they're changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. Basis Health, they are here for you when and where you need them the most. So getting into a few of your chats here, when we're talking about Taylen Green and everything. I also have some best basketball talk going on there too. Like Matt just wonders, like, can we get some Taylen Green stat predictions? I feel like that's probably once we get closer to the football season is what we'll end up doing for that. Because we'll have an idea of who's been looking really good because we've been told who looks really good in practices, and maybe we'll do it from that. But last year, I don't know if we ever did an official predictions of stats for Taylen Green, but I don't think any of us had them as high as we did.
I got to be honest, me and Curtis were like not that far off on Taylen Green stats. We were pretty close. We did a stat projection story. If anybody gets bored, go look at that. It was like 2024 Arkansas football stat projections. We were wrong on a lot of things. We predicted more than one touchdown for Andrew Armstrong, but we were pretty close to like dead on with Taylen Green stats.
Mm-hmm. We nailed it on some stuff defensively too. It was an admirable showing for sure.
It aged like obviously not everything goes perfectly. There's some injuries, there's whatever, but yeah, I thought we handled ourselves well.
Yeah. No one's going to give you credit for that, guys. They only give you credit when you're wrong.
Nobody's ever done that. Been like, hey, wow, congratulations. Dude, there was one year with KJ. I think it was KJ's second year as a starter. I did the same story where I wrote it out and everything. And I was like within like one touchdown, one interception, and like 100 yards of like completely nailing it. So honestly, quarterback stat projections might be my expertise. And so we'll remember that in the fall.
Yeah. I mean, I always remember when I chose Arkansas to finish third in the SEC West. I think it was in 2021. Oh my goodness, I got ripped. Like, it was just absolutely ripped. It's like, oh, you do it wearing your Razorback thong, you chotch. It's like, no, I just thought that it was going to be that. And then end up being that. And guess what? Nobody cared and no one gave me credit. So just the way it is. It's fine. Let's see. Also, too, Finch is asking, could the line get worse? Could the line get worse from last year? I mean, they could.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely could. I don't think it will, but it could.
This is going to be a common theme of the chat because I've started a few comments. I've already seen a few people doing the thing where they're basically having this mentality of like, it can't be worse than last year. And I'm like, well, like technically, sure. Here's the thing with the offensive line. It won't be worse. Like, I don't think it will be. And like, to answer the question of can it be? Yes, it can be. The problem is all the things that plagued the line last year, most, if not all of them, are returning. Like the one big issue was your right tackle, right guard situation with Blackstock and or I guess it was left guard, right tackle with Blackstock and Amarian Harris. Those are the two guys from last year's offensive line that you brought back. You got rid of Josh Braun, who was top 5 in the SEC in grade. You got rid of Addison Nichols, who was top 5 in the SEC in grade. Caramona's still around, but you're changing his position around. And so it's like, everyone does that where they're like, oh, well, like last year they sucked and they got rid of, some of those pieces. So they're just going to be better now. You're going to have 2 first-year starters, 2 of which probably haven't played any snaps in college football, or you're going to run it back with Amarian Harris. Like, I think there's absolutely a path to the offensive line being very bad. I don't think they're going to be as bad, but to answer the question of like, can they be? 1,000% they can be. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they
bring back all the bad players on an offensive line that was bad. They can be bad again.
Yeah, I'm looking ahead to this, expecting them to be okay.
Yeah,
like I don't think they're going to be great. I really don't think they're going to be terrible. I think they'll be fine. And hey, maybe that's all you need with a quarterback like TG back there. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm really, really anxious to see how it all shakes out. How does it look with Carmona making the position switch? Are they content and good with Kittler at center? Or they try to move him over there? What's the right side going to look like? Because, I think you feel pretty good with Corey Robinson, Carmona. Like, you've got some guys in there who have produced at a high level that can help you, but the whole cliche of you're only as strong as your weakest link is very, very true as it pertains to offensive line. So still a number of positions there they really got to get figured out.
Well, and like, look, I see this comment from John where he says, I know Braun was y'all's guy last year, but come on, he was pretty bad too. He was the highest graded offensive lineman you had last year. And that's not to say that he was great. I'm not saying, hey, Braun was like this awesome guy, but replacing him with a guy who has not played a college snap, I don't know how you can realistically look at that and say that's a guaranteed upgrade.
No.
It just doesn't really make sense.
Well, and also add to it of like the guys you lost, you laid it out there. Okay, you lost one guy to Ole Miss. And I'm sorry, Patrick Kudas. If he's good enough to play at Ole Miss, he's probably really good enough to play here at Arkansas. Addison Nichols goes to SMU. SMU was a playoff team last year. It's not like he's going to some D2 school. Like he's going to a legitimate program. And Braun going to Kentucky, the same thing. It's like if these guys had gone and had to drop down a class or whatever to D2, then maybe you have an argument. But I'm sorry, I just have a hard time believing, be like, well, Braun he went to Kentucky because he wasn't any good. Really? Like, come on. Like, you got to look at it to where, again, potentially, yes, it could be better. But it's not like 2 years ago where you fired the offensive line coach, you got rid of all the offensive linemen because you had one that was decent and everybody else was not any good. It's a completely different scenario.
There's also a.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say real quick. There's also
each other there. I could see it.
I know. There's also a runway to them improving in an area of weakness from last year and like overcorrecting and then taking a dip in the other part of it, right? Like they went out and identified pass blocking as something that they really wanted to improve on. Well, maybe you do, but then you don't want to backslide to what was a strength, run blocking the year before, vice versa. You see that happen a lot of times. So hopefully there's a little bit of balance there too, but we might do the thing where we're arguing the point of, oh, they got a lot better here. And, at the same time, we don't want to run into a situation where we have to go, yeah, but they were pretty good at this last year and now they suck at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, like if you were to build a case and say Arkansas's offensive line is going to be awesome this year, you would be starting that case with Corey Robinson, right? Yeah. He was a very high prospect in the portal. He's got some draft buzz. Like there's a chance he's a big, strong guy, had a great pass block grade. Corey Robinson was a splitting time at left tackle because the guy behind him was a much better run blocker, and Georgia Tech ran a bunch of power run schemes. They would take him off the field. He only played about half the snaps down the stretch at Georgia Tech. So again, you're like, can he be very good? Will he be pretty good? I would imagine so. I think he kind of needs to be for this thing to work. But the idea that people like can't see a path to the O-line being bad again doesn't really make any sense. I think there's very much a very clear path, but guys are allowed to get better. Coaches are allowed to develop, and that's really what's going to have to happen. Like the offensive line coach at Arkansas, Mateos, is in year 2, time to ramp it up. Sam Pittman is obviously the O-line guru. Like there's very much a path to them being much, much, much improved, but things have to happen, and guys that have not played are now going to have to play and step up. But I just don't see how it's like this thing where we can't see, like nobody understands how they could be bad again.
Yeah, well, it's like even this comment from Chris. He's like, all these teams that took our players last year are going to be worse now. LOL. Okay, so what are you going to be, Arkansas? Like, are you? People are probably looking at the same thing as you. It's like you're going to be worse than what you were a year ago. So
we'll see how Oregon's able to replace their practice squad offensive line.
Yeah, exactly right. Like that's the thing is I get it. Like, you want to be optimistic, that's great. If you want to be pessimistic, that's great. But at least try to look at it through the logical lens of, well, it's like, all these teams are going to be worse. Well, they're still going to be better than you. Like Ole Miss, more than likely is going to be better than you. SMU is more than likely going to be better than you. Kentucky, we'll see, but it's possible. So you got to look at it through that lens too. Let's see. Also, Parker says, you can make the argument that the tight end room is better since we never used Luke Has.
I mean, again, like, what is the argument? You can make it. I want you to make it. Like, what is it? Is it literally just that they didn't use Luke Has a ton? So then how is replacing him with guys who have never played at the Division I level, like how is that for sure going to be? You think they're just going to magically use less talented guys more than they use Luke Has? And I do like the Rohan Jones kid from I think he was the Montana State or whatever transfer. I think he's actually got a chance. And I think the room, like I think they did okay, but like the Platt kid, like is he guaranteed to be better than Ty Washington or any of those guys? Like I don't know. I mean, you took 3 tight ends that played a lot at the Division I level, and you didn't like them, and that's fair. But why is it a guarantee that 3 guys that have never played at the D1 level are going to be better than them?
I'm definitely not going to use the they didn't throw the ball to Luke Has argument as to why the tight end room without him is going to be better. I could hear part of the argument about like Braxton, for example. It's like, yeah, he was really talented, but he was hurt all year. He didn't play. So anybody they have is going to be better than that. All right. Like I can get on board with that. But hey, if they learn their lesson from not throwing the football to Luke Has and they want to throw it to Rohan and he has a big year, then we can run this back a little bit later. And I'll be like, all right, cool. Yeah, you're onto something there.
Yeah. Mr. Trey, again, all your usernames are just your usernames. I don't know how to fix that. But either way, he says, we need Taylen to take a Jaden Daniels type of leap. Yeah,
I agree.
That would be great.
I mean, listen, what's crazy is like, this is kind of like a true statement. I would just point out that Jaden Daniels is like one of the 7 best quarterbacks on the planet at any level. Like I think he was the rookie of the year last year in the NFL. I mean, he was a Heisman winner and rookie of the year and won a playoff game. Like that is quite the leap to make, but that is pretty much where we're at here. Like if Taylen Green does that, yeah, I think Arkansas is going to be all right.
Yeah, they'll probably be just fine. Like this from Patrick Yankee. As a Kentucky fan here, I don't think you got to worry about Kentucky being better than you all. LOL. Oh.
Well, yeah, and hey, listen, you're right, and it's okay. Mark Pope's going to do fine over there. Okay, like he'll get him going there. It's not going to be a Cal situation. So appreciate the admission there. It's nice to see an honest fan from BBN, and we appreciate you, and we're glad that you're here.
Listen, winning with 50.
You're right about the football.
Going to play in the NBA, like there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? I mean, Davidson, they made a lot of tournaments with not a lot of NBA guys. Like you can do it.
Can I make fun of Mark Pope real quick in Kentucky?
Sure.
Real quick. Okay. This is how I vision how Kentucky fans and some in the Kentucky media are like it, where Mark Pope could be just sitting here with a glass of water and just be like, I love Kentucky. And everyone's like, oh, this guy gets it, man. This guy just absolutely gets it. And I'm just like, oh, okay, relax.
Maybe, and we're picking on you, Patrick Yankee, but maybe he can answer the question of like, do you think that Stoops over there feels like Sam Pittman does here? Where it's like, dang, man, like I've been here for a minute, but the new basketball coach is here and he walks on water. I can't get any love. He's kind of struggling. He's down bad, maybe hot seat, maybe not. It's kind of a similar type of deal in a way.
Yeah. I'll never forget, real quick, going back for Mark Stoops at SEC Media Days like a decade ago. He was the final guy to go on SEC Media Days, which is always the worst. No one was there. And in the big room, he got asked 2 questions, and one of them was about Kentucky basketball. And I'll never forget that. I was like, that just showed all that it was about, man. But he stuck with him.
I'll never forget when Arkansas went to Kentucky and played on Kroger Field or whatever it is over there and lost to a Kentucky team that didn't have a quarterback.
That was great.
The kid was good, but
I was gonna say, I was like, I feel like Mark Stoops deserves some benefit of the doubt. I mean, he's done a great job at Kentucky, big picture. I know they stunk last year, but even then, they beat Ole Miss. It's like I feel like actually I wouldn't be stunned if they stunk again, but like I think I would be not surprised at all if they made a bowl game and were like pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, let's see, I forgot they won 10 games in 2021, but they did 10-3, 7-6, 7-6, 4-8. Boy, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? It was a little almost like exactly the same. So only difference is that one guy has been winning his bowl games. Kentucky lost to Music City in the Gator Bowl. So they technically went 7-5 in the regular season, but we don't count that. But either way, let's see just a few more of this because I know we have some other things. But Monty Harrison turns 30 in August as transplant in Texas, which is true. He does turn 30. Maybe we'll see him play at one point. I don't know.
That's something.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what to say that, but I'm glad you pulled it up because it just needed to be acknowledged. That's insane. Good for him.
I will bet any amount of money that in August there's going to be a ton of Monty Harrison buzz. Like just a ton of like, I'm telling you, I know he's 29 and didn't play last year, but.
Yep. And it's going to happen and it's going to be over the top. And I don't know, just add him to the list, at least last season, of players that got talked about all the time and never saw or heard of them. Even in the bowl game when they were out there with like nobodies, still didn't get a chance to see him as much as we thought we would. But either way, appreciate this super chat. I was going to bring it up, but since you super chat, man, might as well bring it up now. He says, we just flipped the cornerback from Okie State, which, yes, that Victor Lincoln is his name. He is the 24th commitment of the Arkansas Razorback class of 2026. He was a Oklahoma State commitment, but he has flipped it to Arkansas. And not only is he 100% committed, not only is he 1,000%, not only 10,000, but he's 100% committed according to his tweet. So, I mean, it might as well lock it, might as well sign the letter of intent now. But either way, he's just on the defensive side of it. Nice little flip there too, and crazy. Arkansas has now got 24 kids for the upcoming.
Was that a trade for that other kid? Because that D lineman committed to Oklahoma State the other day from the state of Arkansas. So was this just basically the prospect to be named later? And you mentioned 24. They got to be close to done now, right?
I would
It's
think.
insane that they have that many in this class already in June.
Yeah.
But
well, especially because everyone told me they were like, well, they don't care about the high school. Like they're saving spots for the portal and all that. Now they did pick up the offensive lineman that committed this weekend was 2026 as well, right?
Yes, he was. I want to say his name, but I don't know how to pronounce it, and I'm afraid I'll say something bad if I do. So, but yes, he was really good. Out of Georgia, I believe. I'm trying to look up. From Buford, Georgia, 6'5", 290 offensive tackle. They picked up over the weekend as well. So Ben Mubinga, I think I said it. So anyway,
that's a solid one. I like that. I like that addition.
Yeah. I chose Arkansas over Florida State and all of that. But I don't know. I wanted to kind of bring this up, and maybe this is where we can point it out. Not trying to start any, stuff or tell tales out of school, but is it as important to get the in-state kids as it once was in Arkansas? I mean, you want to, but like this upcoming class in 2026, at least according to 24/7 Sports, the top 5 kids in your class, 4 of them are committed and none of them are to Arkansas. Terry Hodges is the only one that's uncommitted, and he's a running back out of Martree. But Danny Beal going to Oklahoma State, I think was the player you mentioned from Cross County. I don't even know where that's at. To be honest, I'm sorry, Cross County.
Chill out, bro. It's my neck of the woods.
Yeah, you got Evan Goodwin from Bauxite. He's going to SMU. Ja'Cory Smith from Bryant going to Oklahoma, and then Anthony Kidney Jr. going to Miami. Is it as big of a deal? Is it as big of a problem of not getting the in-state kids as it once was?
Well, I mean, I feel like you don't have to get every single one of them, but if there are kids from Arkansas that are good enough to play at SEC schools, I feel like they need to play at Arkansas. Man, it's just kind of where I'm at with it. Especially if there's a 4-star, I just feel like you should get them or make an effort to get them. And it's like, I don't, subscribe to the theory of, they're not going to overpay for a kid or whatever. And, some of these kids who, come out of Arkansas, like when's the last time they've really, really popped, and really lived up to that ranking? Well, when's the last time one of Arkansas's other 3 stars that they get come in and done that too? So I do think it's important. It's not the end of the world. You just can't not get all of them like this. You know what I mean? Like if there were a half dozen, 4 stars or whatever who are going to play at big programs, if you get 2 or 3 of them and 2 or 3 of them dip and go somewhere else, okay. But if you're just going to go over and then try to sell me that you're just like, you know what, price tag, man, like we're just not really pursuing them or whatever. I have a hard time getting on board with that particular argument.
Yeah, like, for the initial question, I know this is very much a cop-out, but it's like the context matters. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there are going to be years. Like, for example, this year in 2026, there are 5 players in the state of Arkansas who are 4-star recruits. That is borderline an anomaly. Like most years, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 if you're lucky. There's 5 kids in the state of Arkansas 2026 that are 4-star recruits. And as much as we talk about Arkansas not being the state of a ton of talent, which is true, in a year like this where you have 5 4-star guys, to go 0 for 5 is kind of tough. But in terms of like how important it is, we do this a lot of times. Like when a guy commits, like a transfer portal guy commits somewhere else, we say, oh, is this a bad sign? Well, a lot of times there's a reason. Either, hey, they have these 2 guys, they're going with this guy or whatever. The context always matters. And so it's not like you have to have the in-state kids or you have to have this one specific guy to succeed if you're replacing that with other talent somewhere else. But that's the big question I have is, are you really replacing that talent with someone else? I just said there's 5 4-star players in the state of Arkansas 2026. Arkansas does not have 5 4-star players in their 2026 class, even after adding one this weekend. And so in that context, you look at that, I'm like, damn, Arkansas missed out on a chance to have one of their best classes ever, realistically. If you land 3 of these kids from in-state, all of a sudden you've got 7 or 8 4-stars to add to a class that's currently ranked, I think it's like 18, 16, 17, 18. It'll drop down to 24, 25. But like if they had landed some of those kids, you'd be looking at it and you'd be like, damn, that's a good high school class. Could you replace that with other players somewhere else? Sure. Is the coaching staff able to just make their evaluations and say, hey, he's listed as a 4-star here, but I don't think he's that good. We're going to go get someone else. Like, all that's fine and dandy. I just don't give the coaching staff a ton of benefit of the doubt in this particular setting because you have not had an elite roster ever. And so it's like, it's hard for me to believe like you just crushed all these evaluations and this was really a methodical plan that you put some practice here. I think you whiffed on all the kids in state and you pieced together the class other ways. It's going to end up being maybe a top 25 class. So yeah, that's perfectly fine. I just feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity.
I like what you said about like adding the context there about how the rest of the class kind of plays out, because I had a segment about this morning on the Pod of the Palace as it pertains to basketball recruiting in state and all that. And it's completely different world. And I get it. Like you don't have it. It's a volume thing. And it's both a quality and quantity thing with football. And per capita, the state of Arkansas with high school basketball talent, it's talent rich. It really is. But I don't care personally if John Calipari gets a kid from Arkansas or not, because I know that he's going to go out and get 2 or 3 5-stars for every high school class anyway, regardless of where they're from. So he's going to put together that roster. The class is going to be solid regardless. For me, with basketball, I think about it from a standpoint of, hey, I like the idea of like a JJ Andrews. It's, oh yeah, man, I saw that kid with Brad Beal lead. He's a baller. Where's he from? Oh, Arkansas. Damn, never mind. Like just knowing that you don't have a chance if Cal wants to get him, that kind of stuff gets me going. But more than anything, I like having Arkansas representation on the rosters for basketball. The fans love it. Helps you connect to the team more, that kind of stuff there. But if you can go out and get the ballers, I don't care where you get them from. I just want you to be as talented as possible. But when you're football, to your point, you've got 5 4-star guys within the walls of your state in a recruiting class, and you don't get any of them, and then you don't have 5 really good 4-stars to replace them theoretically from elsewhere. What are we talking about here?
It's time for a trivia question, guys. In honor of this, in the last 3 recruiting cycles, there have been 11 4-stars from the state of Arkansas. 2 of them went to Arkansas and are still on the roster today. Can you name those 2 players? In-state recruits that were 4-star players that went to Arkansas.
Braylon Russell.
He is one. Congrats.
A Marion?
Not a Marion. He was. I guess he was like a cycle before. He was like 2021 or 2022.
Was it Charlie Collins?
It was Charlie Collins. Wow, John. Look at John just being tapped in on his state of Arkansas recruiting.
What I do, big recruit guy, big all about the recruiting. Yeah, which is again crazy but it's the current landscape of college sports and college football. Like, a lot of these kids that were going to come to a certain school, odds are they won't finish there. I mean, it's just what the numbers kind of spread out to be. But because I know we'll have some other things, but I just also to add to it for me, I kind of talked about my Locked On this morning a little bit too, but it's more about a culture that you provide within your school and in your state here in Arkansas. And I'm trying to be delicate in saying this. It's not that if you don't go to Arkansas as an in-state kid, your life's going to be a living hell. No, but it's more of like having a culture to where it's like there is a certain aspect of like, yeah, I mean, I do want to go to Arkansas because I do want to represent the state and I do want to represent the place I grew up and all of that. And knowing, and the university and the athletic department and the program's job is to make it to where they can't say no to you, like making it to where, hey, if you come here, we're going to provide you all that you could get out other places, but also in addition to being a Razorback, representing your state, representing your family, where you grew up, your high school, your friends, all of that. It's kind of building that culture within the state. And I just don't know if it's still there or not, but that's how I've always looked at it. If you want to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I also think that the culture needs to be built of making it very hard to say no to the University of Arkansas because of what it could do for you and for the state and for everything. So, but anyway, listen, I'm with you, Curtis. I want the best players. I don't care if they're from Arkansas or not, no matter what. I mean, some of the best players Arkansas's had in football, basketball, baseball have not been from Arkansas. Andrew Benintendi was not from Arkansas. Kevin Kopp's not from Arkansas. Vahivo Lloyd, definitely not from
None of the
Arkansas.
Golden Spikes guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Arkansas, Arizona, Alaska, it's all the same, we're told. So
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Arkansas doesn't really get players from either of those three.
No, not at all. Okay, so we'll get to your chats here in just a second, folks. Do a little shift gears a little bit and want to tell you about our friends over at Radiant Elements Medical Spa, where they have the deep tissue sports massage and infrared sauna to help you bounce back faster. I know a lot of you have been dealing with a lot as you kind of get into the summertime. You want to be relaxed. You want to feel good. You want to wake up feeling a lot better, especially when you're getting out and about. Well, let Radiant Elements Medical Spa help you out with that, where they give you that self-care that you have with all the different services they can provide for you. And you can also set somebody up for a gift. Maybe it's a significant other that you want to make sure that they're relaxed and rested and ready to go and getting a great massage. That is what Radiant Elements will do for you. So check them out today at the Weddington Plaza. You can also book an appointment online, scanning the QR code there in the top right corner of the screen. You get 15% off your very first service. It's Radiant Elements Medical Spa, self-care for everyone. All right. So before we get back into the chat, a few things wanted to bring up real quick when it comes to some of the cool stuff. But how about EA Sports coming with a college basketball game? I mean, come on. It's been made official. At least the announcement has. I found out it's not going to be till 2028. But how do we feel about college basketball? Football was great, but now having a college basketball video game.
I mean, I'm glad. I'm looking forward to that. My son will be old enough to play it by the time it comes out. Like I got really irrationally excited about the announcement, and then, you read the fine print and it's like, hey, buddy, your chair is over there in the corner of the room. You need to go sit in it for 3 years and watch the college football game until we get this ready. That sucks for me. Like, I don't want to wait that long, man. I didn't think it would take that long. I'm very happy that it's coming out, but 3 years is a long time.
Now, let's clarify. Is it going to be the summer of 2028? I didn't read the announcement. I just kind of saw. Is it going to be the summer of 2028, or is it that thing where it's college basketball 2028 coming out in 2027? Like college football 26 is coming out next week or whatever. You know what I mean?
They're trying to get all the schools, like all the athletic departments, to approve like whatever for the naming rights and all that. That way they can be on track to release for the 2028-29 year.
So it really will be like college basketball 29 in the summer of 28.
Probably.
I would assume. Yeah.
But maybe I guess who's to say they couldn't get it done earlier and release it a year earlier. Somebody said, I can't remember if it was in this chat or in the Twitter comments, that it took that long to get the football one. Like after they announced it was coming back, it took that long to get that all figured out. So maybe that's part of it, but I don't know, work on it behind the scenes for a while and then put out that announcement when it's a little bit closer to happening, because everybody's fired up for it. But now you got to wait, man. It's like waiting for the sequel of a movie that you love or something before it comes out. And sometimes it'll be like, winter 2025 or spring 2026, like 2028. When I saw that, I was like, damn, like you could have told me, not for this year, but for next year. And I would have been like, that stinks, but cool, man. I'm pumped up. Now for this, like I was telling John before the show, it's like, we're not going to have this game before we have a new president. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be another election cycle that happens. John Calipari might not even be our coach anymore. He might win his national championship, retire, hand the reins over to Brad, and it's going to be Brad that's going to be represented on the show instead of Cal. It's kind of crazy to think about.
It is crazy to think about. Another thing that I'm curious about, one, EA Sports is making the game, which is interesting, and like they made the college football game, so it kind of makes sense. But I can't remember the last time EA Sports made a basketball game, period, whether that be pro or college. I don't remember the last time, so I'll be interested to hear. They always show these like gameplay trailers and these whatever. Most years they're not really worth looking at because it's the same company that's made the same games over and over again. Like I don't need to see a trailer for Madden. It's going to be the same game. This one I will have my eye on just because, again, there's not really a precedent for this in terms of EA Sports making a basketball game. So what will that look like? Also, by that time, how will the college football game have evolved? Because seems like they're going to make some improvements this year. We'll see. But also, last year, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the college football game made a boatload of money, like a crazy amount of money. Will that be the same this year? Will that continue? Will it be an upward trajectory so that by the time 2028 rolls around, will we have already kind of established, like gotten rid of our nostalgia and been like, okay, like what's going to be the market like for this kind of game? Obviously, anything new, we're going to get behind. But I wonder by the time, with it being 3 years, it's like, what's the world going to look like in 2028? Will we have like had our fun with college football game and been like, this actually sucks. We don't really need it anymore. So that by the time the basketball game comes out, will it kill our buzz or just, I've got a lot of questions, but I'm intrigued and excited. And I'm never going to say no to any of these sports video games, honestly.
I just really hope that they make it to where, college football, we kind of talked about what the things we'd like to see, and some things they did, some things they didn't. It's never going to be perfect, but I just really hope that they try to incorporate the spirit of college basketball, where they rely heavily on home court advantages, atmospheres, the moments, who's the commentator is going to be. Because the last video game that I remember playing for college basketball, it's one of the coolest deals ever. It was, you could choose your broadcast team. And you could choose CBS, which was Gus Johnson and Bill Rafferty, or you could choose ESPN, which was Brad Nessler and Dick Vitale. I'm like, I don't know if you'll be able to do that again, but that was such a cool thing, because when you think college basketball, and at least during that time, you thought of Dickie V, you thought of Gus Johnson, Bill Rafferty. So getting the spirit of college basketball into that is what I'm really hoping that they do. When it comes to voices, when it comes to atmospheres, when it comes to the nonsensical stuff of it, having... I don't know. Maybe they'll have Jeff Goodman making terrible takes on Twitter and in the game, something like that. But I really hope they encompass the spirit of it.
I can't wait to negotiate NIL deals and recruit portal guys and set up my schedule to give my franchise, my dynasty, a great net ranking every season. Yep. Can't wait.
It'd be great.
They better make Cal, if Cal's still coach, they better make him look good in that. Maybe have his suits on point. He's going to be pissed if they don't. He's going to be like, listen, I'm not going to be in that game if they're not looking good.
I'll tell you one thing I'm kind of bummed out about, and I honestly haven't done this in a long time. Back in the day, whenever I would be playing college football and Madden, I would be big on exporting my guy from college football game to the game. I can't imagine they're going to have any version of that with this, where it's like you could be a one and done and go to 2K, because I don't think EA Sports and 2K are going to have an alliance over something like this. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's which again, may not mean anything to you. I didn't even buy Madden last year, so I didn't do it this past year. But that would have been kind of cool if it would have been a 2K game, to see the the shift between that, because 2K was for a while doing the college basketball thing where you'd have to play 4 college games or whatever. I would have liked to see something like that, but I'll get over it. And maybe EA Sports by that point in 2028 is like, F it. Let's make an NBA. They used to do NBA Live. Was that EA Sports?
Yep.
NBA
so
Live.
Maybe that's what EA Sports needs to do, is just say, hey, there will be 2K. We're gonna run back NBA Live, and it's gonna be in cahoots with college basketball. That might be their best path to prominence.
Yeah. Speaking of, real quick, NBA Live, I had one of my favorite ones was NBA Live 2000 on the PlayStation 1, and back then, even they brought Michael Jordan into the game to do one-on-one and stuff. I'm like, see, this has been going on for 30 years. Just we got to incorporate Michael Jordan somehow to make this game. Kevin Garnett was the feature player on the cover of that game, I believe. So
nice.
Yeah, really, really a lot of throwbacks there. But real quick before we move on, if the game was coming out this year, though, Arkansas, who would be the highest rated player, and what would their rating be?
Carter. He'd be 88.
88? Okay.
Maybe 90.
Okay.
I guess it depends on how good they are with their projection, because there's not a lot to suggest that he'd be that, but that he's going to be really good. But I can't think of a better answer.
I think about it like this, though, Curtis. What rating, if you were doing all the skill sets, what rating would Carter Knox be low in? Even some of your best players, like Nelly Davis last year, all his perimeter defense and stuff probably wouldn't have been great. His post defense, Carter's going to be pretty average to above average in everything. So I think his overall rating is just going to be high because he won't have any weaknesses.
High on Carter Knox, I see.
Well, I just mean seriously, what is even if you don't think Carter Knox is that good, it's he's not going to have D- post defense. You know what I mean? Or anything crazy. I think he'll be a C at worst in any of those categories, and then it'll be a B+ and everything else.
I just hope I hope it's Trevin Brazil. Just see people losing their minds. What? Are you kidding me? And then they have his dunking only at like 72 overall. And they're like, what? This is crap.
I think all their rotation guys would be pretty similar in rating. Like I bet all those guys would be within like 4 or 5 points of each other.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
DJ Wagner will be like 83.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I could see it. Hey, listen, I'm excited about the game. Hopefully they do it right. I am that sucker that went ahead and bought college football this upcoming year. So
that doesn't make you a sucker.
Did you already pre-order it?
Yeah.
Last year I made the mistake of like I pre-ordered but didn't do the one where I get it 3 days early. So I just had to sit there and watch everybody, and they wouldn't let me like change my purchase. I was like,
Yeah. No, I went in and pre-ordered it because I don't know. It's just like it's fun. And, like you mentioned on Twitter, Curtis, with basketball, it'd be fun to do these simulations, the day before games like we did for football.
Yeah.
So, and all it played out.
With the way that artificial intelligence is going, by 2028, we're going to be doing something completely different. We'll have holographic, basketball live streams, taking place in a virtual Bud Walton Arena that we'll be able to do without a video game. So it might even be obsolete by then.
Yeah. And Grand Theft Auto 6 still won't be out. That's speaking of waiting for games. That one's been a minute. So either way, let's keep it moving here. We'll get to your chats, but let's do a little heavy. Actually, not heavy hitty. Let's do best of worst of the weekend, presented by our friends over at Looper Auction and Realty. Why wait months or even years to sell your home the traditional way? Because at Looper Auction and Realty, they offer a faster and smarter option for you, where you sell your home at auction. No repairs, no contingencies, no drawn-out negotiations. You set the terms, buyers compete, and you walk away with a firm closing date. Whether it's your home, an estate, or investment property, the auction method puts you in control and gets it sold fast. Call Looper Auction Realty at 479-996-4848. That's 479-996-4848. Or visit looperauction.com. Looper Auction Realty, sold in 30, closed in 30. All right, so for our best and worst of the weekend, I got a bunch of little videos and things to play, but I want to start with this. Ed Orgeron at a wedding. That's all you need to know. Check this out.
Tigers and roll away.
That man won a national championship and a Heisman Trophy winner.
What a vibe.
I'm telling you. Is anybody, I don't think there's been a single person in the history of any sort of athletics or sports that has lived it up from a buyout more so than Ed Orgeron. That dude got paid. He's like, I am done with any sort of nonsense. I'm just going to hang out at the beach, go to weddings and take my shirt off, maybe get in a fight or two and live life. I respect it. I love it. And the fact that they were playing, of course, neck in the background made all the sense in the world. So,
do we have any information on whose wedding this was and why he was there?
I don't, but at the same time, I didn't care enough where I'm like, no, I hope he's a wedding crasher. Just a guy who's.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I don't think he was related to anybody. I think he was just he just happened to be at the same place as them and was just like, F it.
That's pretty funny. I hadn't seen that yet.
Yeah, just there's other clips too. Other ones like it's kind of hard to tell it was actually him. At least the ones I saw. But either way, I think I'm trying to remember. He got paid like what was it like? Was it $20-30 million? Something ridiculous to
pretty big buyout. It wasn't Jimbo Fisher level, but it was a big buyout.
Yeah, and he's just he was gone. And that's the type of thing. I'm not saying he did this. Maybe he did. If I was a coach and it wasn't going so well, and I got me a national championship, I got me a Heisman Trophy. When I went to the peak and pinnacle, I'd be like, yeah, go ahead and fire me, man. I'm done. Like, I just go ahead and give me my money because I'm going to have more fun getting that money in life than I'm going to be coaching a team, recruiting, dealing with all this nonsense. So he may have been seeing the writing on the wall with all of it, but Eddie O, man, still living it up, still very much Cajun, and still sounds like if a rock could talk, his voice would sound like Ed Orgeron. So,
yeah. If a rock could talk, or if you filled your mouth with rock, that's what it sounds like for sure. No, that's really good. I've got a couple. I mean, first I'm here in St. Louis, and so like it's always good to get back up and see the parents and hang out. There's nothing better than just kind of sitting down with a nice cold beer, sharing it with the old man. And some nights here that's involved just being out on the front porch, just hanging out, yelling at kids to get off the damn lawn. You know what I mean? Other times it's been watching Righteous Gemstones. I've gotten all the way through it. He's on the last season. And so watching him experience some of it in real time has been pretty funny. So that's definitely the best of the weekend for me. And then John, I know we both had this one with Mr. Froholt. If you wanted to pull it up, I'm sure Andrew loves this as well. So
Yep. Yelda Froholt, former Razorback offensive lineman, going up against a UFC fighter, UFC champion in the octagon. We're going to get demonetized, so I'm muting it. Look at
getting
that.
nothing, Sean Strickland.
By the way, did y'all see this was not even close to the craziest thing Sean Strickland did this weekend?
Um,
Did you see that one, Curtis? He's probably gonna get suspended because he did some very bad things yesterday.
Okay, well, I saw this with Strickland just getting ran over by Froholt, and I saw him with another NFL offensive lineman, and he got like ankle picked, and like it didn't go particularly well for him. He's given up like 140 pounds or something, but I did not see what else he did.
This is football. This is him trying to like rush the passer. Froholt should be able to dominate him in this, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but he entered he was at a fight yesterday with one of his teammates fighting in like a low level organization, and his teammate gets submitted, and the guy that submitted him was like taunting Strickland and taunting a few other people. Chris Curtis is over there. Strickland enters into the octagon and punches the guy and like charges after him. So Sean Strickland had a very eventful weekend that included getting dominated by the Yelda Froholt.
Man, apparently so. I love it because of it's like, you expect Froholt to do that, but talk about a journey. That guy from Denmark and then coming to Arkansas to play as a defensive, or he goes to IMG Academy, I believe, and then gets recruited as a 4-star defensive lineman, comes in, never sees the field there. They flip him to offensive line. I think it was guard. And then they moved him to center. And then he gets into the NFL. He gets drafted. Now he's playing. I mean, it's a wild journey for Yelda Froholt, who
had a good run. What's it been, like 7-8 years?
Yeah, something like that. And I remember at SEC, or not SEC Media Days, but Razorback Media Days, back when they would do this and they'd open up the entire locker room to every player you could go talk before the season. They had the Danish media group come in, and they're like talking to me, and they had to have a translator to tell me, hey, would you like to interview to talk about Yelda? And I'm like, sure. Never got to see what that broadcast was like, but very big deal back then to have a Danish player coming in. And because I forgot what language, is it Dutch? I think they speak over there. So really interesting. But yeah, that was pretty cool for to see Yelda Froholt like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Whose turn is it now? Is it me?
It is you.
It's you.
Okay. Well, I mean, dude, I've got so many. I didn't even know where to start, honestly. But I'm gonna start with the octagon. John, this was on your radar, right? Because you texted us about Tapuria like 2 days ago, which made me so happy. You were like, "Hey, there's a guy named Tapuria fighting this weekend." That made me very happy.
You know what gets me about it is I responded and I said, "Yeah, he's fighting. He's going to decapitate a guy in about 90 seconds on Saturday." It was a little more than 90 seconds, but not by much.
This dude is a freaking monster, dude. Like, listen, there's really not that many athletes walking the planet right now who you can realistically say, hey, this guy has a chance to be the greatest ever in his realm. There's a lot of guys where you're like, oh, yeah, this guy could be great. Patrick Mahomes fits that criteria. Like, you could say, hey, this guy has a chance to be the greatest. Outside of LeBron, maybe you could look at one or two other NBA guys. Maybe you could look at Giannis or Jokic and be like, hey, that guy could be the greatest ever. But it's still probably early. Ilia Topuria, you can make a very easy argument that he's on track to be the greatest. He's 28 years old. He's now a double champion, or pretty much a double champion. I know he vacated his other belt, has knocked out some legends. His last 3 fights, he's knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, who was consensus greatest 145er ever, knocks him out cold. Max Holloway, another one you can make that argument for, knocks him out cold. First guy to ever knock him out. Moves up to 155 pounds. How will his power translate? Will the size advantage be an issue for him? Let's go ahead and pull up the video. We'll do it with no sound, so we don't get caught here. We got a slow-mo action here. Ugh.
Night.
Watch, he hits his own knee. Need himself in the face, bro. That's crazy.
That's called getting folded.
And then he gets whatever the punch is called, hammer punch. I don't know what it's called, but
the little hammer fist. Yeah, those are we call those super necessary shots. You got to. I mean, until the ref pulls you off. By the way, there was a lot of that going on. Herb Dean tried to kill a man, or on the prelims. There's a guy that got knocked out cold, and his eyes were spinning back. And Herb just took his sweet ass time getting over there. So the dude just lands 2 more just brutal ones. Honestly, man, it was a great card. It was a great event. Obviously having 2 legends at the top of the card always helps. You had another title fight. Pantoja defends his 125-pound belt. He looked awesome again. I always like when they have a title fight in a division and then they have the number 1 contender fight right below it. So you kind of already prep it and set it up. They had this kid, Josh Van, 23 years old, and he's been on this great streak. He's been, doing some good stuff. He fought 3 weeks ago and won dominantly, gets a 3rd-round knockout. There was a number 1 contender fight scheduled for this weekend. The guy pulls out. He steps up and is like, I'll fight on, 2 weeks' notice, basically, back-to-back, fights the number 1 guy in the world at 23 years old, and they put together maybe the fight of the year, honestly. Brandon Royval and Josh Van. Josh Van gets the win. It was just unreal. I think it was 400 strikes landed in 15 minutes. I mean, it's unreal stuff. It was a great weekend in the Octagon for sure. What else happened this weekend? We had some other bests of the weekend, right?
We had a bunch of pro hogs getting paid.
Yeah. Portis got paid. Jalen Williams got paid.
Yeah.
What was Portis' deal? It was 3 for 40 something?
44 or 46, something like that, I think.
Yeah, you had Jalen Williams, a 3-year, $24 million extension with OKC. Bobby Portis, 3-year, $44 million extension with the Bucks. So,
yeah, that's big time, man. Bobby Portis has made some coin, and I love how much he's found a home in Milwaukee. They love him there, dude. They chant his name at the games. I mean, that video where Cal's talking about it, he's like, "You go to Milwaukee and they chant his name."
Yeah.
And he's right. They really do. And so happy to see him staying in Milwaukee. I'd imagine he's going to get a chance to be a part of some really good teams with Giannis as well. The East is wide open, so hell, maybe they can get it done this year. But that's some good money. I think Bobby at this point now in his career has hung around long enough, made a lot of money, has a ring. I mean, the dude's set for life. I feel like we've now officially reached that point. If you're smart with your money, you should be set for life after 2 NBA seasons. But Portis has hung around long enough, made his money, taken some risks, by the way, in his career. When he initially signed with Milwaukee, it was on a league minimum type of deal because he was like, look, I just want to go be a part of a good team. I'll even take a team-friendly deal. So I'm glad that the Bucks took care of him on the back end. Not that this is a crazy deal by NBA standards, but the fact that he's kind of rewarded for that is always good.
Especially after, John, you remember when we were just getting ready to start our trek back from Auburn, and it was he's getting suspended for however many games for taking there's 2 similarly named medications or whatever, and one of them's completely legal, and then one of them's not because of whatever. And I had forgotten about that whole thing. So good to see them remain committed to Bobby and all that. I love it. Fan favorite over there. Just like Jalen's a fan favorite in Oklahoma City. And I was really happy to see him get the deal that he got because just with the way Oklahoma City's built, they're going to have to give a lot of their money to their big 3. And those role players are going to be rotating in and out of there. And when they drafted a center with that, it was the 15th or 16th pick. I was like, damn, man, that Jalen might be out of there, but he's not. And so that's good to see. Now, Isaiah Joe and his $12 million deal, on the other hand, I wonder if they wind up making him available in some trade talks and stuff. But it was good to see Jay Will get taken care of and be able to stay there where they appreciate him for sure.
Can I play one more video as my best of the weekend? So we had a lot of summer ball Razorback stuff going on, but the coolest one, Ryder Helfrich, is Captain America.
For the freshman righty, here's his pitch. That one's cracked deep out to right field. That's slicing towards the line. On the run is the right fielder, and Bailey, he can only watch because that one's gone.
Wood bat.
Ryder Helfrich leaves the yard and ties this game up.
Love it. Love to see Ryder being Captain America with a wood bat too, man. He hit 7 home runs last year in the Cape. He has a good summer with Team USA. He's going to be a rich man.
Well, just letting you know that there's going to be people that if Ryder Helfrich struggles at the beginning of next season, be like, because he was using a wood bat the whole season and just can't go back to the metal bats.
The victory lap from Andrew when Ryder Helfrich wins the Golden Spikes next year is going to be electric. Stuff of legends.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll keep his mouth shut and not say anything at all.
He's gonna find that man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. I know it's a lot of bets, but I wanted to throw this out here too. A Dude Thero's TikTok video, just because I think it's really cool.
I think I found a cheat code, bro. Feel me? If you don't got a girl to give you a kiss, just give the rim a kiss, bro. Just like this.
Okay.
I love that, man.
Like look at this. Look at this. Dude he literally come on now. He literally kissed the rim. And what's cracking me up is this is just such a I wonder, did he think of this? Whatever, did he see something? I don't know. I don't understand TikTok as much as probably others, but just I got an idea. Kissing girls, kiss at the rim. And then I'm just gonna set this down real quick and show you. How many takes? Is one take? Don't know, but
I bet it was just one.
I don't think it takes him many opportunities. I think that is not the first time he's kissed the rim, honestly.
Knee feeling good. Looks like it.
I thought about that as well, where I'm like, is this kind of him showing like, hey, I'm healthy?
I would hope so. But anyway, I just love the random stuff like this. Just all right, cool. Thanks, Adu, for letting us know that you're looking good out there. Worst of the week, and mine's actually pretty like randomly weird and lame, but that's okay because it's just I laugh at it. So it's kind of not worst in a way of bad. It's more worst of like ooh. But we're talking about the EA Sports college football game coming out. The fact that Lane Kiffin looks this way in the game really cracks me up because, it's I get it with the technology and everything too. It's like Lane looks like he's just never missed out on trap day. Like what's going on here with his neck? Like it looks like he's got something in his, I know I'm going to start really. The Adam's apple is out of control, I guess, is really what I'm talking about here. But the point is that even though the technology for video games has come a long way and there's so many realistic aspects to it, the EA Sports college football game, when it comes to the coaches, I get it, like putting guys in helmets and whatnot, that's, whatever. But come on. Like you can't show it's better than this.
The Pop-Tart looks more realistic than Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. Like, if I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm like, what are we doing here, man? Like, I don't look like this.
The Pop-Tart should have been high on there.
This is true. Yeah, you got to get that one right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't wait to see Sam Pittman on the game. I assume he's on the game.
He should be. They said over 300 coaches. They got to be.
Yeah. So with 300 coaches, that include like assistants too, or coordinators? I assume.
They do. I mean, they're big on the OCDC.
Yeah.
See Petrino in the game.
How many D1 teams are there? Or FBS teams, I should say. How many FBS teams are in college football? 130?
Yeah. Well, maybe a little over.
Yeah. So 300 would kind of make me think roughly, head coach, OCDC for everyone.
Yeah.
And then, a few that like Bill Belichick, I'd imagine not going to be in the game. He's never been in Madden. Probably a few other that were like opted out. Sam Pittman better not be one of the ones that opted out. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it would be very, very disappointing if that happened. So, but anyways, that was all I had for my worst of the weekend. Just looks like crap.
Yeah. Worst of the weekend. I actually had a really great weekend. One thing that I get annoyed by, Andrew, you were talking about that UFC card so much, and there were some just awesome fights in there. And on the flip side of that, like at the same time, everything was going down with Pantoja and Ilya doing what he did. You had Jake Paul doing his thing again. I'm just so over that. And it's crazy how it's really delusioned and brainwashed a lot of people into believing that this dude is like legit. And he's just not. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I mean, this guy's, 39. He just got out of rehab. He hasn't fought a competitive fight in however long, but he was still a former pro. If he wanted to beat up Jake Paul, he probably could have. He didn't throw any punches. This is what's getting me. If you can do this one of two ways, in my opinion, Jake Paul. You can get the guys who are 20 years older than you and washed and fight them and just beat them up because you're young and you're in fantastic shape, whatever. Or you can get the guys who are closer to your level of athleticism and age and everything like that, and then have them sign the waiver that says they can't punch you. I have never seen anything like it. And I turned around last night and just randomly in here at the house, there was a Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight, an actual one of his boxing matches against somebody else. And he was fighting a professional and beating the hell out of him. and punch this guy in the face like 300 times in a 10-round. It's just unbelievable to me that he keeps getting these fights. Nobody will throw a punch at him. And there are people convinced that it's like, oh, it's just the way he's just he's incredible. He's getting better and better. No, he's not. He's just not. I'm tired of the gimmick. It's driving me nuts.
Well, and here's the thing, like, and again, like, I agree wholeheartedly. Like, it's a stupid thing that, like, honestly, we probably shouldn't even talk about. I mean, obviously, it's not like Jake Paul doesn't need our publicity, but I just mean in general the world. But Julio Cesar Chavez lost 5 years ago to Anderson Silva, who Jake Paul also beat. Like, of all the Jake Paul fights, the Anderson Silva one's the closest to a legitimate one, and that was a 45-year-old retired MMA fighter who already beat this guy that was supposed to be like the next stepping stone for Jake Paul. And so it's like, again, the Mike Tyson fight, as shameful as that was, that I can at least get behind because everyone watched it. It was on Netflix. It was a big event. You sold out a big arena. Okay, cool. Like that at least is stupid, but if people watch and people put their money towards it, it's not that stupid. And so that I can actually get behind. This, I'm like, who is this for? Because nobody knows who this guy is. The only thing people know is, hey, Jake's fighting a guy who has a pro boxing fight. The only people that would really be impressed by this would be boxing people who happen to know who Julio Cesar Chavez is and know that he's not legitimate. And so I'm like, again, what is the target audience? At least with Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, the target audience was America. And we all watched it, and that was fine. I would honestly rather him fight 75-year-old people that we know and that are like relevant, like if he wanted to fight whoever, like some random retired boxer, fight Roy Jones Jr. or something like that, fight someone old. At least we'll watch that, and like it'll be kind of a fun thing. This is just for no one. Like nobody watched that fight. Nobody bought tickets to go to that fight. It just is a thing that happened that like Jake is using to like act like he's legit. It just doesn't really make any sense to me.
He called out Anthony Joshua too. Please do that. I beg you to fight Anthony Joshua. How'd that work out for Francis? It didn't. Anyway.
Well, my worst of the weekend, I don't really have anything because the worst of the weekend, I had a great weekend like Curtis. I had an abundance of bests, but I do have the video of it's going to be a Sean Strickland heavy segment because I do have the video of his foul that he committed yesterday. So this guy submits his teammate, starts saying crazy stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, that I would imagine Sean is going to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's assault, brother.
Yeah, you can't do that. I don't know what promotion this is, but it didn't look that legit.
I was going to say, I didn't even know. Was that wrong? Like, I didn't know if that was wrong. You can't do that, I assume.
You shouldn't.
Okay. I mean, it worked always in the WWE. I mean, somebody got in a fight and, suddenly some music starts playing. Somebody comes out that they shouldn't be there. It's not their fight, but they, hit somebody else. I thought it was just the same rules.
I will say, speaking of the WWE and crossovers to MMA, now that they're under the same umbrella, the UFC did do a lot of that. I mean, I mentioned the Josh Van fight. They ended up, after his fight, brought him ringside for the Pantoja one. They made Topuria face off with Paddy the Baddy, who you know Paddy the Baddy, right, John?
Should I?
He knocks people out and then teabags them.
You do know who Paddy the Baddy is. I will not accept that you don't know.
I feel like you've asked this to me before, and I looked him up, and he was like an Irish-looking dude, I guess.
Yeah, he looks Irish, but he is from Liverpool. But I mean, he's like a Barstool athlete, I believe. Like him and Barstool have done a lot of stuff.
Gotcha.
He's very famous. He's going to get obliterated by Topuria, but he apparently that's who they want next for him, and so they brought him into the ring and had him face off, and Topuria shoved him. It was good stuff. It did feel very WWE.
Oh, according to the Googles, he's a second-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So
he is a very good grappler. Very good grappler. I mean, he's a good fighter. He's going to get absolutely smoked by Topuria, but he's a big star. It'll be, and those dudes hate each other. Like have hated each other for like 5 years.
Well, that's actually a pretty good segue because we're getting into our final segment here. We'll get to your chats and also our summer topics. And of course, it's presented by our friends over at Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas, which we always appreciate them being a part of us here at Inside Arkansas. And just a reminder, folks, that summer is officially here. And what better place to spend your summer than out on the lake? Don't own a boat? That's totally fine because you don't need to. Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas, they have you covered. Freedom Boat Club gives you that access to boats without the commitment. And this is boating that fits your lifestyle, which is fun, flexible, and stress-free. You don't have to worry about anything. You just show up and you get on the boat and then you come back off the boat and they take care of the rest. They have 3 locations here in the state of Arkansas. Whether it's Greer's Ferry Lake, Lake Hamilton down there in Hot Springs, or a day on the river in Little Rock, Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas will make your summer in the natural state the best one yet. You can check out their website at freedomboatclubar.com. That's freedomboatclubar.com today to learn more about the benefits of joining the Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas. So we've been using this as kind of like some fun little random summer topic questions. And so we'll just continue that on here with dealing with sports, food, and entertainment, of course. But we'll start with the sports thing. This can be generic, Razorback driven, or whatever. But what is the greatest random one-game performance you have ever seen? Or maybe one of them that really just come to your mind. And for those of you who may not know what I'm asking, basically that one game where you're like, where did that guy come from? Why did he do that? Because he hasn't really done anything like that before. Just one that really stands out of having that one game of your life type of situation. Does anything come to mind?
I'll probably be able to come up with some other ones, but Desmond James immediately came to my mind from the Liberty Bowl. Wow, I see Logan in here. He says Keon Minifield just bursting on the scene out of nowhere. Like he just randomly becomes eligible in his second game or whatever. He drops 30. That was one that I definitely didn't see coming. That was very random. I'll think about a few more here. I don't know, Andrew, you have any off the top?
I mean, Dylan Leach is like the ultimate one. Hit for the cycle on a random Tuesday and never had any other moments. Like, I mean, he was a nice player. Like he wasn't like completely devoid of skill. Never really showed anything like that again. Homered from both sides of the plate. That was pretty crazy. I'll tell you one basketball one from the NBA standpoint. Corey Brewer. Y'all remember Corey Brewer from Florida? Good 3-and-D wing, right? Dropped 50 for the Rockets on like a random Wednesday night. And then like the next game went like 1 of 7. Like it just went back to being a random, and in the NBA, I think he averaged like maybe 6 or 7 for his career. Just random dropped a 50 ball for the Rockets one day. That's a big one. Football, I'm trying to think. Does Arkansas football have any? Oh, I'll tell you a random one. TJ Hammonds against Coastal Carolina, who is good now in football. They were not good in football then. TJ Hammonds had like 180 rushing yards and 90 receiving yards or something crazy like that. Saved Arkansas's ass then.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like, I guess there's the NFL, which I'm not saying he wasn't like a good player or anything, but I remember no, it's not Chris Houston. What was the guy, the running back that was really fast? He got drafted by the Titans. Chris Johnson. I think it was like his first or second game of his career. He had like 295 yards in a game or something. And he was a good player, but then just kind of went off by the deep end and never really heard from much again. I remember that. I remember Jamal Lewis, too, had a game like that with the Ravens. Just, again, good players, but just having that type of next level of performance. And this is another one that's a good player, but like Raleigh Williams against Mississippi State, I think he had like 250 rushing yards against them. And, just he had a really good year. I think he rushed for over 1,000 yards. But those were just some that came to my mind randomly for that. And
I mean, Hudson Clark, that's the
this one for the end. But yes, Hudson Clark, the no-fly zone, 3 interceptions, the hat trick.
I didn't know we were allowed to talk about that on this program, but yeah.
Yep. It's got to be up there, man. And shout out to Hudson Clark. Got married over the weekend. So shout out to him. And
good on him.
Yeah. So, but either way, that was one I was going to, like I said, bring up to make sure it had the lasting memory of that. But that is a good one, though. I mean, 6 interceptions in a game, pretty wild. But 2, I think Hudson had 3. Jalen Catalon had a pick 6. Greg Brooks had a pick, and then Grant Morgan had a pick 6 at the end of the game with his like bionic arm. It's a crazy, weird game.
If that ball had been thrown an inch higher, Grant Morgan would not have been able to catch it, but it was in that radius that his little brace could let him get to, so he caught it. It was crazy.
Yep. I remember Rod Gilmore was on the call, and he's like, he's got one arm. It's like, how did he's got one arm? Like he couldn't believe it. Okay, so food-wise, What is your favorite specific dip of all time? Now, reason I say specific is can't just be like salsa. No, like an actual like dip. Like, because I'm a big dip guy. And to me, I love me some like buffalo chicken dip, in the little skillets. Really good stuff there. I also am a fan. If you go to some Mexican restaurants, they'll do it where they'll put like have the cheese dip, but they'll put like the chili meat or the seasoned beef in there, kind of loaded up, like a 7-layer dip type of deal. But does any specific dips come to mind of your favorites of all time?
Yeah, buffalo chicken was probably at the top of my list for the longest, but I've started to fancy a smoked queso, and that can be really, really good if done right. And then I've got to say, like, I don't think you'd be able to get it in Arkansas or whatever. No disrespect, but if you get out on the coast and get a crab dip, a legit crab dip, that's really hard to beat.
Crab dip for some reason entered my brain. I don't remember where I had one recently, but I was remember being like, you know what, crab dip's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
There are two specific establishments that had dips that came to my mind that are like just undefeated for me. One, Taco and Tamale, Fayetteville, whether it's Fayetteville, Bentonville, Heights, or whatever, they're 50-50 dip where you can do 50-50 of anything. I always go ground beef and queso. Like I love that. The Hatch queso at Buffalo Wild Wings is my other one. And Curtis, you know ball, so you know about that one.
Oh, yeah.
the Hatch queso at B-Dubs, better than it has any business being.
Yes, it's really, really good. That's a great pull right there. You don't think about dip when you think about B-Dubs there. It's legit.
Outside, dude, I'm telling you, B-Dubs non-wing stuff is actually like phenomenal. Like it's like good bar food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that John was like, you can't say salsa. But I'm a little bit surprised that he's not saying Chili's, chips, and salsa.
I mean,
he's a big.
I am. It's so good, but it's more of like, if you just said salsa, because
Exactly.
I guess people would be like, salsa, cheese dip, guacamole's okay. It's like, okay, yeah, but can you take it a little bit further? Can you get like a little bit more specific on it? That was kind of what I was looking at. But there's one dip, and I don't know if anybody has ever had this. And if you haven't, I'm pretty sure it was at least at the Kroger's down in Little Rock. And I assume you can have it up here in Northwest Arkansas. But it's Bray Gourmet. I don't know if y'all have heard of this. I'm going to show you a picture of it. And it sounds weird, but this is Bray Gourmet smoked turkey dip and spread. If you ever see this jalapeno version, get it. I know it sounds weird, but it'll change your life. And it is so good. So just a little thing. If you ever see it out there, try it out.
I like it.
Do it with wheat thins. It's kind of the best go-to chip out of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Wheat thins. Yeah.
Hey, I'm a big user of wheat thins for my dips.
Wheat thins are good.
Same.
Very much
hummus, the hummus things and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys ever had firecracker dip? It's like a jalapeno popper. It's like all the stuff that's in a popper, and instead of being inside a jalapeno, you just dice them or whatever. Pretty solid.
I have
Pretty
not.
solid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I said dips I can eat any time of the like. I'm a huge dip guy, so I love it. And finally, before we get into the chats for a wrap up here, entertainment wise, if you could live the life of any movie character in the history of film, fictional, nonfictional, whatever it is, but just like live the life of one character, who would you want it to be? And if Andrew doesn't say a Star Wars character, I'm going to be disappointed. But
I don't think I'm going to say a Star Wars character because honestly, there's a lot of Star Wars characters that I like that I don't envy their day-to-day life. It doesn't look like a lot of fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would go in the superhero realm, and I'd probably go Tony Stark, Iron Man.
it's a good one.
Just I would love to be a billionaire with a high-tech suit, But then again, you also there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. I'm trying to think of characters who have the least amount of responsibilities, but like the best circumstances. Who fits that criteria?
Richie Rich. like just talking about like random people like that. Richie Rich. I don't know. Like if it's right about minimum responsibility, because then they're boring characters and no one likes them, and they're not like anybody wants to be there.
The answer for me would be some side character that you only see once. That's like a guy that like you're just like, yeah, that guy's crushing it. Like it wouldn't be a main character for me. I'd have to think about this one, and I will.
I think I have my answer, and I think it would be Frank Abagnale Jr. Catch Me If You Can.
Oh yeah, that is a good one. That's a great one.
That'd be a hell of a life to live.
Yeah, that would be good. Somebody was saying that like be Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street is like, okay, yeah, for maybe a year or two, but then it's like,
I mean, the guy lived like 10 years in prison.
Yeah, like,
That actually came to my mind at first too, and I was like,
yeah. Same thing with like, because that's the deal is like so many characters that people love, like, oh, I love Tony Soprano. I was like, yeah, but do you want to be him though? Like, I mean, if you want to live that life,
the guy has a heart attack once a week. Like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the route that you want to go. But I will say that because you can even throw sports characters in there if you wanted to. But yeah, this was one that I've gone back and forth on because I think it'd be really cool to be a superhero of some sort, but like you said, the responsibility aspect of it comes in. You said Iron Man.
Great responsibility, John. So
I knew I was waiting for that. I set you up for it. But I was gonna say like Batman and Bruce Wayne would be pretty cool, but then you have to do a bunch of crazy stuff and everything.
Parents got to get murdered too. You have to sleep with a lot of women, but never form an actual relationship with any of them. Like it's a tough life.
Yeah,
you got to go to a gala and pretend to be a billionaire asshole too. There's a lot of tough stuff that comes with being Batman.
Scott Vaughn said that caterpillar on Alice in Wonderland. That's pretty good. They got me. I don't know.
Caterpillar on Alice in Wonderland. Oh well, I mean, yeah, I did say fictional character, so you could be a fictional character.
Yeah.
That was the
Cheshire
case.
Cat.
Yeah, it'd probably be Thanos.
Yeah, I mean, he had a nice little hideout in that little planet that he was in at the start of Endgame, like that little remote location. I thought that was he looked like he was living good there.
Yeah, that's for sure. So anyways, yeah, there's just a random one. There's so many ones that you think it's a harder question because you think of it in theory of like, oh, I love this character, but it's like, do you love them because you're envious of their life, or do you love them because it's an endearing, interesting character? More often than not, that's usually the case of what that is. So, there you have. There's a few of our summer topics there. A few chats to get into this. Hold on a second. I was going to. Fishman just says, "I want a radioactive spider to bite me and then wake up as Spider-Man." Wow.
And we all.
Yeah.
I will say Spider-Man is and Spider-Man is my favorite character. Period. Like when I was a kid, I was Spider-Man. Literally my favorite. Like everything. I would not want to be Spider-Man. The more like I did when I was a kid, but like he doesn't have a lot of time where he's enjoying himself. You know what I mean? Like He really doesn't look like he has that much fun.
Yeah.
Plus he's got. I mean, Mary Jane's always been not as attractive as she is annoying. So it's like I don't know. I think there's better options.
Yeah, I guess no, never mind. I was thinking of what's the blonde girl's name in Spider-Man? Gwen Stacy. Yeah, I got them mixed up. I was going to say something stupid, but I'm just going to refrain from saying something else that's stupid. Kamala Hall, just like any Liam Neeson's daughter in any movie. That's weird that you want to be adopted.
You want to be
captured and kidnapped and drugged.
You want
trafficked
to be
and
like, y'all are weird, man. Like, what in the world?
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I mean, she gets saved or whatever, but good grief.
He really likes the reuniting at the end. That's what he's aiming for.
Yeah.
Oh. I'll even throw in like if you're not that route, but just again, find somebody that's rich, find somebody that's endearing, find somebody that's cool, and find somebody that's awesome. And like, your guys are just getting stupid. Like Alan in The Hangover. Yeah, have at it, Jeff. Be Alan in The Hangover.
Be him.
You can literally be him. It doesn't take much. Like, you can just be him if you wanted to. Speaking of, Bo just wanted to know, Andrew, how do we feel about Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2 announced? Is that happening?
So I saw it's like heavily rumored. I'm very much not excited about it. I mean, listen, as much as we get accused of being sunshine pumpers for Arkansas sometimes, I'm definitely like a sunshine pumper for Star Wars. The first season of Obi-Wan stunk. They completely mailed it in. There was no heart. There was no love made with it. Like, it was just a complete cash grab that they mailed in. So if they're going to do a second version of that, I have zero interest in it. Honestly, like if I'm being honest with you, like, and I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'll talk myself into it, but the season 1. They need to start from scratch. Like if they have a whole new director, whole new everything writing it, I can get behind it. I'm not thrilled about the idea of a second season of what I thought was the worst Star Wars project of my lifetime.
Same. Mike Cameron just on our Facebook page just wanted to say Hogs suck, go Gators. Thank you, Mike.
You suck, Mike. You
I
suck.
started that. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
All right.
Like,
I wonder how Mike found us on Facebook. Like, what was he doing to have found us on Facebook as a Florida fan? Like,
yeah. Well, I love his Dr. Grant hat that he's got going on in his picture there with his
we currently have 2 people viewing this show on Facebook. He must be one of them.
There you go.
There we go. Well, welcome, I guess.
Hey, yeah.
Let's see. We got a sweet Arkansas gal just said 7 weeks till retirement. I cannot wait. I'd love to sleep for a week. No more 4 a.m. alarm. Yeah,
Good
I bet.
for you.
Yeah.
Is there anything better than not setting an alarm? Like being able to go to sleep at like you're just like I can wake up whenever.
Mm-hmm. Fishman, I'm sorry, I missed your super chat, but he just says I've stayed away from the crap talking with BBN, but if Cal cuts the nets down, I'm going to be a demon to him. I don't think you'll be the only one, my man.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be the only one. I think I will ruin a lot of friendships and good working media relationships if that happens. So, but I'm okay with it. Let's see. Shane just wants to know, will Cal open up practices to the public at some point?
No.
That's
That's
a good
not
thought,
going to happen.
He will invite a lot of people to come watch practice, but not the media. No.
Yeah, not the media, not the public, but if you have some form of connection to Cal, or you could potentially boost for Cal, then yeah, you might get in there.
Yep. Because even Finch was like saying, can we just go ahead and get this petition going on the snippets from these basketball practice to get leaked, please?
Brought it to emotion on the pod at the Palace today. I just need somebody to second it. And then, we're going to start distributing, getting some signatures, force the issue.
Hey, listen, if there's anything that ever gets anything done, it's petitions with a lot of signatures. That's the best way to get something really going.
Yep. Y'all see they're sending Nico Iamaleava to Big Ten Media Day?
Saw that. I wonder what he'll be asked about.
I don't know.
Their SID, I do not envy him that week. Talk about characters we wouldn't want to be. The guy who's got to prep for that sucks.
I wouldn't, if I was UCLA, I wouldn't even be bringing him, to be honest. But, that's what they want to do.
I guess the quarterback competition's over. They haven't even had a practice yet. He has not practiced at UCLA, and he's already representing the team at SEC or at Big Ten Media Days. Wow.
Yeah. He's going to be, I'm sure, asked about his brother, who was at Arkansas and hung out for a split second. So appreciate the super chat from Chris. He says, not sure if it talked about how we feel about the EA Sports announcing college basketball. We did talk about it. So if you want to rewind the video back about 30 or so minutes, we did go in depth. But we are all very excited about it, but we are not excited that it's not coming out till 2028. So
we thank you nonetheless.
That's right. A few more here. Dead Horse says, start a new job, so I can't watch live, but I'm on the video on demand, guys. I'm assuming that's what it is. Keep it going. You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate you watching.
Congrats on the new job, new gig.
That's right. Also, David wants to know, can we get a look at the no slander list? Want to see if we need an update. It probably needs. I got it here. Hold on. Let's see. I only added one. And it was Charles Davalon because people were kind of slandering. But it's Trevin Brazil, DJ Wagner. I still have Nick Smith Jr. on there. Ryder Helfrich and now Charles Davalon. I may need to add somebody.
That's a good list. We don't need to
make it too much. Yeah. I need to take. Honestly, I'm going to take Nick Smith off only because it needs to be about current Razorbacks. I think I think we need to limit it to that.
Let's start slandering Nick Smith Jr.
all bets are
fair
off.
Game now, buddy.
Yeah, now all bets are off. But yeah, we'll update it once things need to be updated there too. So Michael just wants to know, Andrew, what's up? Dave H on vacation, portal drying up.
Sleepy Dave.
If you mean by on vacation, you mean hosting literally the entire goddamn portal. They had 9 dudes on campus this past weekend. But no, Arkansas, we knew Arkansas was going to be selective with who they actually bring in. I mean, I know for a fact there's several guys who would love to commit to Arkansas, but cannot commit to Arkansas. There's still things they need to figure out. I mean, hell, they have about 9 outfielders they're in the mix for, but how many is Arkansas going to want to bring in? If Justin Thomas comes back, all of a sudden you don't need a center fielder. If Kahio Aloy can play right field, all of a sudden you don't necessarily need, so it's like, will they bring in 2 guys from that list, 3 guys from that list, 1 guy from that list? I don't know, but it's a pretty solid list. And I mean, pretty much all of the top available outfielders in the portal, a lot of them being in the top 100, Arkansas's in the mix for. They got 3 top 100 outfielders last year, so I don't think there should be any question about Arkansas's ability to land big-time outfielders. They also got a commit from a pitcher over the weekend. Arkansas's not in a position where they need to replace their whole roster in the portal. And so a lot of the teams that do are the ones like Georgia every year. They get 15 commits at the very beginning of portal season, and then they kind of limit themselves of what they can do. I'm glad Arkansas is not in that position. But if you look at the rankings right now, the top 2 teams in the portal are Mississippi State, who took all of Virginia's roster with their new coach, brought them over. So they're kind of the default number 1 team. And then Georgia, who has 14 commits. None of those teams are in the mix for any of these really talented players because of that. And so I definitely wouldn't want to trade positions with any of those guys. I mean, LSU doesn't have many portal commits right now. I think they have 2. It's not like LSU's in a bad spot. It's not like Arkansas's in a bad spot. Both of those teams have been doing some good work. And we're going to talk about a lot of it on the Bombastic Podcast today.
Yep. Jackson Kircher. How about that? Old in-state kid coming home from Oklahoma. So, yeah, just he's asleep, though. Dave Van Horn's he's mailed it in. Didn't win the title.
He was apparently at Local Lime yesterday.
Man. Yeah. Well, apparently Curtis was at a restaurant in Bella Vista, I heard. So, according to the Discord. So, I mean, just, there's eyes everywhere, as we all know. Can't
better
get away
not eat a meal in the state of Arkansas if you don't want it to be reported.
No. Jeez, man. Not at all. All right, guys. Any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
No. Nope.
No, John, I'm good. I ain't got nothing to say.
Great. And that'll do it. Appreciate everybody listening in and watching in Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. Be sure to follow our podcast wherever audio podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast. And check us out on social media at Inside Arkansas for any questions, comments, concerns, or any nonsense that you want to get from there, and we'll keep it going. So for Andrew Ellis as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you then.